Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Nava Bharat Ventures Limited Q4 FY21 earnings call hosted by DM Capital Advisors Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Mohit Kumar from DM Capital Advisors Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Malika. On behalf of DM Capital, we welcome all the participants to the Q4 FY21 and FY21 earnings conference call. We have with us Mr. Ashwin Devineni, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Sultan Bag, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. J.R.K. Prasad, Executive Director, Mr. V.S.N. Raju, Company Secretary and Vice President, Mr. Nikhil Devineni, Vice President Commercial. We'll start with a brief update followed by Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the participants. This is Ashwin Devineni, the CEO. The statement of the financial results both on standalone and consolidated basis and a press release detailing the operations of the Nava Bharat Ventures Group for the quarter and year ended March 31st, 2021 have already been filed with the stock exchange and posted on our website. I hope you had a look at them and trust that they provide adequate information on our performance for the quarter and year ended March 31st, 2021. Given the above, we would now like to proceed with the question and answer session and request you all to seek clarifications as you may desire. Thank you.
Shall we start with the question and answer session?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. The first question is from the line of Lodha from Sanmati Consultants. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Am I audible, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am talking about the consolidated accounts of the company. There is a issued provision of 334 crore during the financial year 21 and 53.88 crore during the quarter allowance for the credit loss. Can you little bit explain briefly to us what is the nature of this transaction, sir?
Yeah, this is on account of time value of the receivables in our Zambian company. So a provision is made in accordance with the IFRS regulations, and it's been done on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So you will find this year the charge is about $45 million, and together it's about $75 million as of 31st March 2021. This is a mere provision for time value of receivables.
Okay. My second question is, sir, there is a shutdown regarding the Mumbai collieries. There is a shutdown. There was a shutdown in that quarter in one of the unit for maintenance shutdown. But during the shutdown, we found one critical part is required. Therefore, that unit is still in operative or non-operative, sir?
Well, the shutdown was a planned shutdown in Q4, started from January and was scheduled to complete by end of March, as is norm with the power plants. But we found that some of the critical parts of turbine require replacement, and that replacement is currently going on. While the replacement was, kind of pursued, what we did was we ensured that the availability of the power plant with the other unit continued as it is till now, and also for the next month or so. So in a way, the budgeted generation isn't greatly impacted, excepting for a couple of months where we were required to operate both the units. That loss will be there in the current financial year.
Presently, only one unit is working, sir?
One unit is working.
So then in that case, the surplus coal, we are selling the coal as a merchant sale. Can we expect the higher coal sale in this quarter, sir? In case of the power is less, not being produced, then extended coal are we selling that coal also in the merchant sale?
You see, actually, the sale of coal for external customers is of a different grade. That's a metallurgical grade coal, whereas the coal that is intended for power generation is a low grade coal, or what we call low grade coal. So the stoppage of power plant doesn't impact the coal sales at all, because that is a separate revenue stream, and in fact it has been pretty robust last few months. So that coal sale is happening without any hindrance, and will continue to do so this year as well. But the stoppage of power plant has no relationship with the coal sales, because that is a separate coal and separate steam altogether.
Actually, low value coal.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
This is one question, madam. It is related to single question. Second question. Nothing else. I am not asking third question. I will rejoin the queue.
Please go ahead.
Sir, this low value coal, can we sell the low value coal also as a merchant sale?
See, the power grade coal is used for power generation, and the high grade coal is used for merchant sales.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I will rejoin the queue. I have further questions. I will rejoin that. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Monica Arora from Share Giant Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have two questions. One is, how was the performance of the healthcare business in Asia? And the second is, what is the outlook of power business in Orissa?
Yeah. So in terms of the healthcare business, it definitely, COVID has taken its toll because of lockdown and so on. So some of the sales that we were expecting were not realized because of that. But that being said, the business is growing quarter by quarter by a substantial amount. So I think once these lockdowns end, we do see potentially a fair bit of growth on the healthcare side of things in Singapore and in Malaysia. Now, with respect to the Orissa Power, we were glad to announce that the 60 megawatt independent power plant that was under shutdown for a long time due to a matter that needed to be resolved with the utility was resolved, and we have recommissioned the 60 megawatt IPP in Orissa, which is currently selling power.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you for answering it so elaborately.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Nithora from DM Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. My first question was regarding the ZESCO tariff order. So is there any development in negotiation with the ZESCO for tariff? And can you please update on the arbitration cases and timelines on that?
I'm sorry, I missed the second part of your question. Can you repeat that?
Can you please update on the arbitration cases and timelines?
You wanted an update on the... Sure. So on the ZESCO tariff negotiation, which is essentially prospective, those discussions are currently going on. There have been, certain delays given that the Zambian election is scheduled for the month of August. But those discussions are currently going on, and the arbitration in London is also underway. I don't want to discuss too much about the arbitration because it's still sub judice, and we are hoping for an early verdict once the hearings are done.
Sure. Thanks for that. The second question was regarding, we had listed out some assets for monetization. So what is the status of monetizing those assets which we had listed out about 2 years ago?
Yeah, in terms of the monetization of the assets, I mean, there were a couple of assets that we were talking about. One is the Dharmavaram land. Because of the entire COVID situation, the progress has been fairly slow. One, because a lot of companies are looking to expand at this stage, and even the valuations have taken a large hit. So we're hoping that once things settle, we can accelerate activities to monetize the Dharmavaram land. With regards to the land near Hyderabad, the matter was at court, the ULC matter, and the hearing is done, the arguments were made, and the results are expected shortly. So once that is out of the way, then we could go forward with looking for buyers and monetizing it. So that has progressed fairly well in terms of the Nacharam land. And in terms of Samal Court, as you probably know, we're looking at selling the machinery, and that process is currently underway.
Sure, sir. Thanks. The next question was regarding, we have given fantastic numbers in the standalone. So, how are the ferroalloy prices faring right now? And just wanted to understand the sustainability of this.
Ferroalloy prices, as you pointed out, are doing extremely well right now. This uptick in momentum was seen mainly through Q1 onwards, and the momentum has kept up as we speak. Going forward, I emphasize that even in Q2, the prices might have a small correction, but they should not be a major correction because most producers have already booked their quantities for Q2. And coupled with that is the export market is also doing extremely well right now because 2 major producers in Malaysia had been shut down or had to curtail their capacity owing to COVID. So this has given a boost to Indian markets.
Sure, sir. One last question from my side was, are the 150 megawatt IPP in AP and the 64 megawatt in Odisha operating now? And what is the outlook on that?
Yeah, so the 150 unfortunately is not operating. It operated for a couple of days previously when tariffs were better. Given the the COVID situation, the lockdowns, the demand has significantly dropped, and therefore the IEX prices for power have been very, very low. So financially, it didn't make sense continuing running the 150. But I think once the lockdown eases, which it is currently, and the demand rises, we will see an improvement on the IEX side of things, which will allow us to fire up the 150 again. In terms of Orissa, the 60 megawatts, which we had the matter with the utility that was resolved, we have recommissioned it. We are currently exporting about 25 megawatts in the 60 megawatts. And the remainder of the power, once again, I think we're looking for slightly better IEX prices to fire up the second boiler and start exporting the remainder of the power.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much for that elaborated answer. I'm done.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samil Hurendran from Argus Media. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity. My question would on the ferroalloy business segment. Likewise, we have seen a rise in exports demand from overseas. So do you expect to focus more on exports in the coming quarter?
Hi, Samil. Normally, we normally cater to about 35% of our production to export and 65% to domestic. But this ratio always fluctuates based on the realizations that you're able to procure. Sometimes the domestic market, the delta is far better than the export. So based on the orders that we book and the realizations of those orders, we either cater to the export market or the domestic market. That being said, last year we have stuck to this ratio of 35% to exports and 65% to the domestic market.
And any guidance on the ferroalloy business for the full year?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, right now the ferroalloy prices are doing extremely well, particularly for silicomanganese. And we expect that there would not be any major correction in Q2, mainly owing to the fact that most suppliers have sold out their quantities. That being said, it's very hard to predict going forward. On one hand, there has been a stark improvement in the real estate and infrastructure segment, which accounts for almost 60% of the steel. So, given that the end users of steel are suffering right now because of the extreme high prices, there might be a correction post Q3, but we don't expect it to fall much.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir, for your answers.
Thank you. So this is the conference operator. I just want to speak to the management for a minute, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Keshav Garg from CITL. Please go ahead.
Sir, first of all, I want to thank and congratulate you for the share buyback. And sir, our share price is so undervalued. The company is so undervalued in relation to its assets that it makes more sense for the company to buy back and extinguish its own shares rather than go for some external investment opportunity. So because the market is providing us that opportunity. So thank you very much for that great decision. And I hope, sir, in future also you carry on the share buyback. So just to get some clarity, sir, since you would appreciate that our huge part of our consolidated net worth is stuck in this trade receivables from our Zambian operations, and sir, this amount is increasing every year. So until some clarity or some reassurance is provided to the shareholders, sir, then there will be a state of constant suspense that although you are mentioning that there is a sovereign guarantee, so but what good is it that if every year we have to provide for some part of it? So yes, sir. So if you could provide some clarification on that part, then that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Thanks, Keshav. In terms of the Zambian operation, yes, it is kind of unfortunate that the amount of receivables are going up. But I think the process to resolve that has commenced. I think one major step that we have taken is arbitration, and arbitration deals with what is due, everything retrospective and what is due. So we have a clear indication of the amount, and it's clear to all parties. And there has been a determined effort from both our side, the lender's side, and also the with a new tariff that is workable both for us and for them moving forward, so that we can kind of freeze these receivables dues going up. So both those processes are underway. Unfortunately, these processes do take time. Since you are dealing with the country utility, and the arbitration process, takes its own time. But we're hoping that, once both are resolved, we will have a proper sustainable, result in terms of the Zambian project.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Raj Nahar from Milli Consultants. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, and congratulations on superb number. My question is that first is on the ferroalloy. Are you booking for the Tata conversion contract at the market, or it is basically conversion charges in our sales realization?
The Tata contract is on a conversion charge basis, where they supply us the ore and they have the rights to marketing the finished product.
Okay, and then second question is again on the ferroalloy, since the many your competitors in India are expanding the capacity, and you have the power, which 150 MW power plant and also 60 MW power plant is lying down basically. So are you considering ferroalloy expansion because availability of raw material is also not a big concern, and you are also predicting that market is likely to continue good. So are you considering any kind of expansion?
We are considering it, but I must add here that the current raw material control is not in our hands. We are procuring it from outside suppliers. So in the interest of having some visibility on our cost of production, we are looking at also backward integration, where we are scouting for having our own manganese ore mines. That process is also underway. I think once some visibility on that, expansion would be taken up.
Okay, so the next question is about the coal in Zambia. Basically, whether the merchant sale coal, this quarter you produce over 1 lakh tons. So what is the potential there? Because that money you are getting 100%, not like power where you are stuck, you are getting only now 57.8% only. But in this case, you are getting 100% payment. So what is the scope where we can increase, whether we can go to 2.5 lakh tons per quarter, something like that? Is it possible? Is my question clear, sir?
Sorry, connection got. We understand your question. It's like this. The coal is currently being sold in Zambia and surrounding region, and there is to some extent a limited market. Whatever market is there, we have been able to service that. So we are actually looking at a new mine pit that is coming on stream, whereby the quantity of coal would go up, in which case there is a possibility of expanding this coal volume as well. But at this point it is early stage, but the demand actually percolates from surrounding region. That is yet to be tapped. Whatever that is happening, it is happening in Zambia predominantly.
So what kind of quantity you are projecting or possibility to reach coal per quarter?
We can't put a different number than what was achieved last year, excepting for a slight increase. Yes, a certain increase is certainly visible given the robust performance. But beyond that, in the current year, it is difficult to say. We are actually working on that. You are right in the sense the coal revenues and revenues have been 100% realized. There is no issue. That is one of the significant developments in Zambian operations.
Okay, sir. All the good luck for getting our that money from Zambia and for power dues. All the best, sir.
Thank you.
So your question is answered?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead now. Next one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Vora from TCS Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Amit from TCS Securities. Just a correction. Thanks for the opportunity. One thing, sorry if I have missed it. I joined the call a bit late. The other income for the quarter, of course, it's the same as it was in the last quarter in the same year, Q4. What is the reason for the increase to 107 crores? Any clarification there?
Yeah, the other income actually comprises, FX gain and MTM gain in terms of our Zambian operations. That is the principal contributor to that for the quarter.
If you can give that breakup, that will be helpful, sir.
Roughly out of 107 crores for the year 249? No, for the quarter. Is about 45 crores is the FX gain and MTM? Together, FX gain and MTM are 45 crores. Which is, of course, that's the difference.
45 is FX gain and 12 is M2M.
No, both put together it is 45 crores. And the balance, of course, is more an interest provision which has happened. But that is available even for the previous quarters also.
So what is the kind of other income other than the forex that is like, this interest provision that we can assume that can continue? Because for the full year as well, I think our other income is almost 250 crores compared to negligible other incomes.
Yeah, this other income actually stemmed from the interest charge that is happening on the outstanding receivables. So it's not like a interest from bank finances or anything like that. So it's a function of receivables being outstanding and interest being levied on them.
And this is being received. I mean, this is the cash flow that is received, or it is only a provision that we are making with what?
This forms part of the overall receivables.
Okay. All right. Okay, got it. And sir, on the interest cost, sir, what is it that, we can expect the interest cost to be as a steady run rate? Because now we are almost touching around 80 crores per quarter interest cost.
Again, it's principally driven by MCL operations. If you see the standalone, debt is pretty low.
Right.
Completely driven by MCL debt. And interest, small variation is on account of, the principal being outstanding for the last 3 installments. So a little additional interest instance would have happened. But other than that, it is a standard interest charge if you look at it. Continue for, while the loans are outstanding.
All right. And last question, sir, if I may squeeze in, then I'll join back in the queue. Any incremental debt that we are planning to have in the FY22 in this current year, sir?
No, we don't have any plans at this point.
This is our peak debt is a fair assumption.
Yes, because we have no capital plans at this point, so I don't think any debt is being planned.
Okay. Thank you so much and all the best. I'll join back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vijay, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I hope can you hear me clearly?
Yes, please.
Yeah. My first question is about the ferroalloy plant utilization. As can be seen from the figures, the silicomanganese plant utilization was 75% and ferrochrome plant utilization was 75% too. Now, when the ferroalloy market is booming so much and the prices are going through the roof, why is the plant utilization low? Is the demand low?
So, Mr. Vijay, for the ferroalloy unit in Orissa, the plant utilization was slightly lower than the preceding year, mainly on account of a plant shutdown that we had for 30 days. This was something that was inevitable for the furnace relining activities, and this was an immediate requirement, and therefore it had to be shut down.
The first quarter is almost ending now. So for this quarter, with the booming ferroalloy prices, can we say that the plant is fully utilized, Odisha as well as the one in Telangana?
Yeah, you could say that. See, the plant utilization, for example, is a function of how much power we are putting in there. So if you look at it, we have 4 smelters in Telangana works and 2 smelters in Orissa. All 6 are at 100% utilization at this point.
That's the question I wanted answered. 100% utilization is what I wanted to hear. The second question is about the dividend distribution policy of the company. You have increased the dividend from 1.5 to 2.5 this year, which is very good. But what percentage of the profits is this? What percentage of standalone profits and what percentage of consolidated profits?
Yeah, so I think, Mr. Vijay, our dividend policy has generally been, 20% of the standalone PAT. But I think, this year, given the good performance on the standalone side, owing mainly because of the ferroalloys division, we thought we would give a little more. And I think the current dividend that we've declared equates to about 23 or 24%? 23%, sorry. 23%.
So why is it of standalone profits? The company as a entity is got standalone profits alone or consolidated profits as well?
Yeah, no, the reason is, with respect to consolidated profits, a lot of that is owing to Mamba collieries, right? Where we were having issues in terms of the receivables, so that amount is not completely being received. And some of those issues are being dealt with in Zambia in the form of arbitration and tariff negotiation. So that's why it's a part of standalone.
Yeah. The purpose of my question is particularly in the light of the monetization of land that the company is looking at in future, which is not happening for a long time, but it seems to be close to happening now. So that monetization, if we have a clear dividend distribution policy, I suppose that monetization will be shared with the shareholders, with all the stakeholders, given the percentage delivery policy that the company has.
Yeah, no, in terms of, yes, the monetization is progressing and we will definitely come up with a policy because, we're also doing buybacks to improve shareholder value. So we will kind of look at all the various options and probably come up with something.
Okay, if I may permitted to ask a last question. The haircut, are you contemplating any haircut in Zambia receivables in your arbitration proceedings?
Well, the arbitration matter is right now sub judice, so I don't want to comment on the arbitration matter at this point of time.
Thank you very much. I'll go back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samir Shah, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the timeline of the arbitration with ZESCO. You did mention that there were elections and all that going on, but would you have a definitive timeline in mind? That is my first question. And the second question is about the merchant power business. We've had bits of ups and downs. Some quarters when the IEX numbers are high, it goes into sale, and then it kind of again comes down. So do you have a sustainable strategy for that in the long term? Because 150 plus 60, 210 megawatts is a fairly large capacity to just idle and go only in fix and start. So these are my two questions.
Yeah. So to answer your first question with regards to the arbitration, it has nothing to do with the Zambian elections. I think the Zambian election I brought up more in terms of the tariff negotiations for the prospective tariff. The arbitration is being currently held in London. In terms of timelines, it's very hard to say. We hope that we'll have something by the end of this year, but it all depends on how the proceedings go. With regards to the merchant power, in terms of the 150 megawatt and the 60 megawatt, I completely agree with you. The IEX prices fluctuate quite a bit. So the long-term solution we have been looking at is a group captive scheme for both the units, both the 150 megawatts and the 60 megawatts.
Okay, and when would that kind of come into play? Would that take a long time?
Well, with respect to the 150 megawatt, there are certain procedural issues that we are facing. It is in court, and that process is currently underway. And with respect to the 60 megawatt in Orissa, we just recommissioned it, and so we were happy to kind of get go past all the issues that we had with the utility and resolve that. So now that we have recommissioned the 60, we are pursuing the group captive scheme, and we'll inform you once significant progress has been made.
Thank you. If I can just take one last question. This is about the sugar business, the discontinued sugar business. I can still see that there is some store and sales being recorded over there, probably some inventory of the past. But there was some announcement that the sale has been cancelled. Could you throw some light on that?
Yeah, in terms of the sale, we had identified parties and we had signed an agreement, but unfortunately, some of the conditions precedent were not met, so we had to terminate that agreement. So we are currently, in engaging other buyers with regards to the machinery sale.
Would you not want to relook at that business now that ethanol is starting to come on its own, and most sugar producers are kind of very excited about the new ethanol policy and 20% blending?
You see, for this unit, it is not nothing to do with ethanol or anything. The major problem that was being encountered is cane availability. That is getting shrunk year on year, and it was coming to a point where it wasn't meeting even our minimum kind of operations. That's the reason we didn't want to pursue that business there. But, given that we have taken a decision and we have to move on in terms of the unit sale and all, so I don't think there is any intention to relook at the resumption of operations at that location at least.
Noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. I had one question on the interest and receivables part that you had mentioned to the other participants. So as I remember in the previous con calls, we had mentioned that, we did not use to book this. So for the first question is, what was the reason behind booking this income this year? And again, I missed that part. Is it provisional or have we received something against it?
As per the terms of the PPA, we are eligible for interest on the delayed payments from ZESCO. As per the terms of the PPA, we are raising invoices on ZESCO for the delayed payment, and we are recognizing it as a revenue in the other income, and the same is being carried in the receivables amount from ZESCO. This is as per the terms of the PPA.
So will this be done retrospectively?
Sorry, can you come again?
Will this be done retrospectively?
No, this is being done on every month basis. So whatever outstanding receivables that are there, they also have this interest component.
No, right. But in the previous years, we did not use to book this income.
There, even previous periods too.
During the previous financial year, we have recognized a revenue of $1 million for the interest delayed payment. Interest on delayed.
All right. Thank you for your answer. I'll come back in this.
Okay.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation in the call. I hope we've addressed all the queries adequately, or if there are any questions or clarifications that remain unanswered, please get back to us and we'd be happy to provide answers on a wider investor platform. Thank you all once again.
Thank you. On behalf of DM Capital Advisors Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.